Welcome back to the Sip and Swish podcast. Here with Nick Reid, our Lakers insider extraordinaire.
Yeah, boy.
Lucas McLean, Super Suns fan, also in charge of stats, prospects, pretty much everything here. And Jason Stoltz, huge Philly sports guy. And I'm kind of hopping off of the Thunder. I'm just kidding. I still love the Thunder, but future not looking bright. I don't even know what the plan is. Please, God.
The bandwagon has pulled over. Jason's taking his.
It's a scary time to be a Thunder fan. I just feel like there's really nothing to be excited about.
Just think that they're going to pay $250 million to keep Paul George, but they wouldn't pay an extra $5 million to keep James Harden. So it's like,
that James Harden deadline will always come back to haunt them for the history of time.
Whoa, you drafted 3 MVPs in a row, and now one's left.
And we kept Serge Ibaka instead of Harden. I mean, that's a choice.
I think at the time I was pissed. I was pissed at whatever friend group I was with, and I was like, I cannot believe they're picking Ibaka over James Harden right now. And everyone else, especially the guy across from me, was like, you got to go with Ibaka. He's the big guy.
For the record, Nick is across from Lucas. I am adjacent.
Okay. I was like, you son of a bitch. He's so good.
You son of a bitch.
You do not just choose Ibaka.
I mean, you shouldn't have to.
Now is probably 36 years old. We don't know his real age.
You shouldn't have to choose either of them. You could have had both of them.
Yeah, but they didn't want to go in the luxury tax at the time, which was like $60 million or whatever.
Well, now they're going to pay $250 million if they keep Paul George. So karma is bad.
We'll get to PG-13. But let's start off this episode 28 with recapping the NBA draft trades. There's some interesting stuff. Different people have different takes. Let's start off with Luka Doncic being traded for Trey Young. So Doncic ended up in Dallas. Trey Young ended up in Atlanta. What do you guys think?
Nick is shaking his head and probably in tears for the Hawks franchise right now.
It's just, I don't get it.
Like to pass up on Luka?
One, to pass up on Luka. 2, to only get Trey Young and this, was it top 5 protected?
A future protected first round.
For the Mavs.
It goes all the way protected until 2022.
You couldn't even get the
2022.
You couldn't even get like the protection where it's like when the high schoolers are coming out, allegedly. So like it comes off then.
Second draft,
baby.
That's gonna be so weird.
I don't know if this was a bad trade. We don't know yet because we don't know if Luka's a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but for whatever reason, they were in love with Trey Young, which kind of confuses me.
He's the next Steph Curry.
My only thought was, I think something you said earlier in the week was like they can sell tickets for Trey Young more than they can sell tickets for Luka Doncic. Like, whoa. I really don't think a casual NBA fan or a casual fan is going to know Luka Doncic's name, but they will know the guy who dropped 28 points a game
right,
at
that was
Oklahoma.
All over SportsCenter last year.
He was like named the next Steph Curry. They can sell those tickets. That can happen.
They could sell tickets if they just put Luka's mom on like courtside every single game, and then they would sell out every single night.
I'm unaware of anything exceptional with this.
Oh my
beautiful?
God.
Is that what it is?
She's a very attractive lady.
Oh,
she's very nice.
You said that very politely. But yeah, I mean, I think both teams and their fan bases got the players or the player that will resonate a little better. I think Trey Young is going to fill seats in Atlanta. I think the fan base is going to embrace him. Okay, yeah, Nick just showed me Luka's mama. She's good looking. I agree. And then, like I've said before too, Doncic is going, to a city and a team that their star player has been Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think the trade was good for both. I mean, Atlanta is not going to be anything.
It's definitely better for Dallas. I think so.
It was, better for Dallas?
Yeah, I think it's better for Dallas because I still don't think Atlanta knows what they're doing.
They don't, which is kind of why, to me, Doncic made less sense in Atlanta because there's not a plan. There's not really like an infrastructure that, the
fit wouldn't make sense. Luka going to the Mavs, that's a whole veteran team, super veteran coach.
Who's getting the MVP of the Euro
Yeah.
Cup fine. I don't know what they call it.
He's just the greatest foreign player ever. Basically, that's what's happening right now. But
wow, anointed.
He's like 19. He's won every award you could in Europe.
He's like MVP. He won the championship this year.
While he was allegedly slumping, too. I mean, it's not like we were watching. But that's what they say.
While playing 20 minutes a night. That's what blows my mind.
20 minutes, but he played 115 games.
Yeah. I don't know. This is kind of like the Boston Philly trade last year, though, only in the aspect of they swapped like two selections, got a future pick, but I don't really know if that future pick is going to be, it might convert just next year because if Dallas
goes in for DeAndre and tries to
if they're even marginally better, I mean, all they have to do is be better than 5 East teams. And I think that's really easy to do.
The East is going to be so freaking bad next year.
I think you're going to see 6 teams in the East have less than 30 wins. And Dallas could get over 30 if they got a center.
But the other thing is now the draft is changing next year, so it's the top 5 teams have a better chance to get the number 1 pick. Yep. So it's Dallas may not have to be completely awful, but they can still slide in because everything's more even.
That's true.
All right, let's move on. So my Philadelphia 76ers traded hometown hero Mikael Bridges to the Phoenix Suns, Lucas's Phoenix Suns, for Zaire Smith and a 2021 unprotected first-round pick via the Miami Heat. Lucas, why don't you start on this one?
This was just so risky. This was risky, I feel more for the Suns. That's why I wouldn't say that Philly won it. Everybody's trying to grade who won the trades.
You can't know until that 2021 pick.
Yeah, we don't know until that 2021, but everyone's saying Bridges and Smith were equal, and so adding the extra pick really didn't make any sense when Zaire was basically Bridges, but they played completely different positions. The best comp that I saw from Zaire Smith is just an uber athletic Andre Robertson, which isn't really a bad player. He just doesn't have much of an offense. But Bridges will come in and instantly contribute. I think Philly's mindset, though, is to get a star this offseason. And if they drafted Bridges, they're going to have to pay him $4 million to be a rookie. So then they just saved $4 million or whatever to get a guy in the offseason.
And I think it's they get this Zaire Smith guy. And that 2021 that, you said, they're going to go after someone, that's a nice pick just to sweeten the for the Spurs. And the Spurs don't want to send Kawhi to the West. Hey, we'll throw you this 2021. We'll throw you Markel Fultz. Add a little couple. Maybe even the Zaire Smith guy.
Right. At first, we were all texting, obviously, as this was going on. And I was very upset. Just because it just felt weird. You know what I mean? It wasn't nearly to the extent of Danny Ainge shipping out Isaiah Thomas after everything that had happened and whatever. But it still felt kind of strange. Mikael's mom works for the Sixers. He went to Villanova. We kind of everyone knew that the Sixers was going to draft him. And he's all happy. His mom's all happy. And it's oh, cool. Everything's right in the world. And then
they trade him.
And then it's pretty cold-hearted. And at first, I wasn't taking into account the fact that this 2021 pick, it's pretty much going to be trade bait.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that made me feel better about it once my emotions died down. And I realized, okay, we're not doing this trade because we're going to use that pick. There's no way we have that pick in 2021.
No.
If we do, then I'm kind of still pissed.
Right.
But I'm okay with it. I think both teams, I guess on these first 2 trades we've talked about, I think everyone did okay. I don't think there was a solid loser.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait to see for both these. But initially, I think they're pretty equal. I just don't see the reason for the 76ers adding another young piece. Their whole team is completely young. I don't see a Bridges. I guess I just feel they could stash Zaire. He can play half the season. They can just process him or whatever into whatever they want him to be.
Oh, he'll develop a mysterious injury.
Right.
He won't play this year.
That's just the classic
So that I just don't see
just
them.
you get a first round
We
pick.
only play second-year rookies. We don't play true first-year rookies.
He's gonna win Rookie of the Year next year.
Not my rookie of the year.
Oh,
Did you see those T-shirts?
No.
It was Ben Simmons' face, but across his eyes, it was like # not my ROTY.
Disrespectful.
I'm getting one for you. I almost ordered it the other day.
That's silly. I will burn it.
We'll burn it. But yeah, good trade for both teams, I think, because they're going to use that to get Kawhi maybe.
No, he's coming to LA
I don't
with
think-
Kevin Durant and with LeBron James. We're getting them all.
This is why everybody hates Laker fans. This is the problem.
I don't believe this. I want to keep my young core, but they're getting rid of everyone.
So another big point of news from the draft was Michael Porter Jr., the number one prospect coming out of high school. He fell all the way to the Denver Nuggets at 14 because of injury concerns.
This blew my mind, though, because there's so many teams that are like, we'll take Michael Porter when he's on the board. Like, the Bulls at 7 was like, all right, they're taking Michael Porter. I'm running around the restaurant, finding Lucas. I'm, standing in the middle of the dining room, like, Lucas, where are you? Where are you? And then,
like a friggin' meerkat.
The Bulls take Wendell Carter, and then who had pick 8?
It was the Cavs.
The Cavs at 8. I was like, oh my god, they're getting Michael Porter. LeBron's gonna love it. They get another. Then they take Sexton. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, okay, the Knicks are up. Perfect. The Knicks are taking him. And then they take Knox. And I'm like, okay. Philly's getting Michael Porter Jr. This is. Oh no, they take Bridges. I'm like,
It just kept going down.
it just
the
kept
line
going
of
and
people
going, and the
passing.
Nuggets were just like, wait, you guys really passed up on this guy? We don't really need him, but yeah, we're gonna take him. I think it's a really good fit.
Oh, if I'm Denver, I am stoked.
Yeah, because you're gonna put him in minutes that Wilson Chandler was gonna get.
Yeah, but the biggest thing was maybe GMs actually did their homework, because it was about an hour after the draft. Is it him or his agent or somebody said that it's most likely he will be redshirted his freshman year.
Which is why Philly should have taken him.
Which is why
Philly
they're
would
like
have
the perfect
processed
scenario.
him.
But he's a 6'10" shooting guard.
Love it.
What the hell?
Paul
That's
George.
not a thing. It basically is Paul George. It's probably a taller Paul George. And he's 19. So he's going to grow like every 19-year-old NBA player does. So he'll probably be 7.
Well, once they put the PEDs in him,
Right, they have to juice him up a little bit. And
Even
then he'll be
growth
7
hormone?
feet tall. A 7-foot tall shooting guard. I mean, the last time that happened was Kevin Durant.
He's okay.
Yeah, he's an okay guy.
He's an average player.
He's
at best.
very average. But
No, he's a subpar guy, but he's a great player.
He's an average player. He's a grade
Mostly.
A snake.
My biggest confusion on the draft with Michael Porter was the smoke screen that the Kings tried to pull, saying we're going to take Michael Porter at 2.
When everyone knew they were taking Bagley.
Everybody knew that, but I don't understand what that smoke screen was. Nobody's going to trade up to 2 to take Michael Porter, because that's the only reason they would do that. Is they'd be like, oh, the Bulls really want Michael Porter. We'll just swap with them, and they'll give us assets. They'll give us Lauri Markkanen and the 8th pick for 2. But that conversation would never happen, because Michael Porter is too much of a risk. That was definitely the biggest shock, I think, for me, that he slid all the way to the Nuggets, and the Nuggets don't need him. So he will redshirt, process for a whole year. Hopefully his back's fine, but that back injury is really scary.
Yeah. He's just got to do some core workouts. He'll be fine.
I don't think that's how that's going to work.
That's how it works. Just do some core workouts. Do some crunches. Everything's okay.
So we have some Rookie of the Year odds. We have. Should I read through them? Do you want to just say who we think?
Before though,
Yes.
Can we just say how Lucas was completely wrong that the Grizzlies were going to trade?
Oh,
no matter
sure.
What?
Whoa. I don't know what the Grizzlies were up to. I don't know their mindset now. They drafted a guy.
I told you.
They drafted a guy
Clearly you don't.
who refused to work out for them, who refused to send medicals to them. So they just drafted a guy that I guess was atop their board, but they had never met the guy in their life.
You don't
And they
want
took him at 4.
You know what the Grizzlies should have done? They should have gotten wind of this Doncic trade and just drafted Trey Young.
Yes.
And then been like, we'll take Doncic, but we're also going to take something else from you.
See,
and you can
that would be a great ownership and front office, but they're not.
like,
They're really
we'll give you Trey
stupid.
Young, we'll give you our pick next year, but you have to take Parsons.
See, that's good
This
negotiating.
is why I'm a GM.
That's great negotiating. But the problem is they took a guy who's not going to contribute at all.
Yeah, it's all right. All right, on to the rookie of the year. I just wanted Lucas to know he was wrong.
You know what? I was right. Someone did trade for Doncic. There we go.
You were right on a lot of things, in fairness.
I think Philly made a trade. Suns made a trade into the top 10. All things I was right on. No, but not enough things happened during the draft that I wanted.
Oh, yeah, another thing. First draft since 2003 that an active player wasn't traded. The
Wow.
entire draft.
See, that's something I banked on. I banked on people getting traded. But no, they just wanted to, screw me over. But so who do you guys have for Rookie of the Year? Like, if you didn't look at the odds, who was your first thought?
Trey Young.
Trey Young?
Absolutely, because I think who the hell else is putting balls in the basket for Atlanta?
That's true. They don't have another go-to scorer now.
He's going to get to do basically what he did in college and just chuck it.
But you got to think of his slump in college, and now he's going to be the only player on Atlanta that has the ball. And they're just going to be like, okay, we'll just defend this guy.
Maybe they'll do that. I think a lot of teams going to Atlanta to play them are going to look at them as a minor league team and just be like, I really just don't care about playing in it. Like,
right,
get a few guys just hungover coming to the game.
Like Trey Young and the Hawks could beat the Warriors when they just walk into town and they're like, you know what?
Draymond.
We've been drinking for 72 straight hours. Like, we forgot we had a game today.
Draymond shows up to the stadium during the third quarter.
He's looking around like,
when
I thought this game started at. Oh wow, it's 1:30 in the morning.
Steve Kerr gets into uniform, just gets out there. He's like, I really need some exercise today. But
so yeah, I like Trey Young, who is plus 700.
I think that's pretty good value. I want to say
that is good
because there's a lot of players. I excluded a lot of odds from this, but really there's only 4 or 5 guys. I think because Jaren Jackson's not winning it.
Nope,
those odds are way too high for him at plus 900. Mo Bamba, I don't think's winning it because he's going to get lost in that Orlando big man rotation of Aaron Gordon, Jonathan Isaac, Biyombo himself, Vucevic. That's 5 guys that get.
One of those guys has to get out of there.
But the thing is, it's not going to be Isaac.
Bimbo is not he's not really in the rotation. I feel like
he's just going to be a dead cost at this point. He's making $17 million a year, but Kevin Knox, there's no way.
No,
he's
unless they just Porzingis is not playing, and they're just okay, we're just going to rock Knox, Frank. And we're just going to let them play 35 minutes.
But I don't even know if Kevin Knox could put up numbers. His NBA comparison was a poor man's Evan Turner. That's not a good comparison to have.
But no.
That's really bad.
I mean, I don't want to pay Evan Turner.
If someone described my street ball game as a poor man's Evan Turner, I'd be upset.
I've seen you shoot. It looks like Evan Turner shot.
Oh, no.
That is hurtful and inaccurate.
I feel like Bagley has a really good chance here.
Yeah,
they're just gonna be you're our number 2 pick. We're gonna play you 30 minutes a game. Every time you're on the floor, we're just gonna give you the ball. You and Fox that's all we're gonna do.
I am surprised Doncic is the favorite, just because in Carlisle's system, in that team, how it works, I just don't see him putting up I think his rookie year is gonna be 15, 5, and 5. That's gonna be a great rookie year, but is it gonna be better than Bagley's 18 and 11? Or is it going to be better than Trey Young's
24?
Yeah.
24 is bold, but yeah, probably 20.
If Trey Young averages 24 and shoots 38%, those numbers don't matter at some point. It's literally just who can put up the most cumulative numbers. That's how the Rookie of the Year works. Is he going to even be Ayton? Ayton's going to get every single post play for the Suns. He could average 20 and 10.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to it's really just those 4. It's Doncic, depending on how much he plays. But I think they're going to play him quite a bit. Cause I think they want to win some games this year.
I think so, too.
They want to get competitive. If they get DeAndre or if they get Boogie that they were talking about. If Boogie
I feel like they're also excited to change the narrative. The narrative on Dallas has just been so negative, even off the court, let alone just being bad on the court. That
it's a good thing they got all this
change.
Sexual harassment stuff out before Doncic's mom gets there.
Oh, no. I though, the super value of Collin Sexton.
Because if LeBron leaves.
No. If LeBron stays, their starting point guard would be Collin Sexton. because I think they put George Hill to the bench. LeBron's like, let me play with this guy who, my favorite story of Collin Sexton is his entire team got
more
ejected.
than one story of Collin Sexton?
This is the...
Okay, so it's the only one you know, but it's also your favorite.
Yes.
This is the...
Very tricky.
Where did he play again? Did he play...
It was...
Alabama? No.
Yeah, he played in Alabama. And every player on his team got either injured or ejected during the game. So he played the second half of a game 3-on-5. And he dropped 34 points in that second half, and they only lost by 1. It's the most incredible story ever that 3 guys on a college team almost won a 3-on-5, and the other team just kept rotating players because they could.
Right.
It was insane, and he was just killing them.
You think Disney's ever going to make a movie about this?
I hope so. I hope it's the next Coach Carter.
No, it's going to be a Netflix original.
Oh. You can use swear words on Netflix.
Yeah.
Disney, not so much.
It's not HBO, right? I'm trying to think of that other service that does like really terrible adult-rated stuff. It's going to be like that.
Showtime?
Yeah.
Showtime. I was thinking like Hulu.
But like if Collin Sexton put up like, I think even Luka Doncic's stat line, I think the allure of LeBron, Collin Sexton would always be on ESPN.
Doncic's going to get lost in the Dallas. I
think he will. I think if Doncic doesn't do well instantly, I think you might not hear his name until maybe the end of the year when
Mark Cuban will make sure his name's out there.
Yeah, but Mark Cuban, is he even a good owner at this point? Like he was good until 2011, and then
he won the championship.
He won the championship, and now he's
better than any Phoenix Suns owner ever.
That's not that hard to do. Robert Sarver is just terrible.
So Collin Sexton is plus 2,200 for the record. So if you want to put $100 down on Collin Sexton,
I can't wait till we do our podcast where we just look at all the odds for all the awards and.
I'm actually ready for that. I'm gonna make a little bank account all set up so we can come into this, and I'm gonna put like $10 on every single thing. It's gonna be great.
Oh no, we're doing hundreds.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. Whatever.
Everyone choose? Did everyone choose?
No, I didn't choose.
I'm gonna go with.
We just talked about everybody.
I'm gonna go with Ayton because I really think.
Wow, you're the player on your team. Okay.
Yep.
Jason.
Trey Young.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Bagley.
Okay. I like all 3 of these picks, and I think see them all winning Rookie of the Year.
It's gonna be Mo Bamba. We're screwed.
Yeah, let's hit free agency. It's getting wild out there. It's super crazy.
Freaking Paul George. Paul George is setting the narrative, and I don't like it.
All right, let's start with Paul George.
His stupid 3-part decision is gonna drive me insane. What is it? ESPN is doing it.
ESPN. So ESPN is doing.
He has a 3-part TV show.
Paul George?
Yeah, about his decision.
He's not good enough for that.
I know, right? He's like I want to say he's like borderline top 10 player.
I don't think he's top 10.
No. But I'm saying it's like when you do point guard top 10s and Bledsoe, Dragic, and Kemba are always in that are they top 10 point guard sort of conversation.
Oh yeah, we did do this one day.
But it's like Paul George is like a top 15. Right? No question top 20.
Yes, but no question top 20.
No question top 20. You can argue those other tiers. But I don't know why he's given this much love considering we watched him all last year. I think the 3 of us actually watched a ton of Thunder games.
Yes.
And I was significantly underwhelmed throughout the whole thing. He would take off defensive possessions. I watched Devin Booker drop 30 on his face. He doesn't do things offensively. I just don't get it. I don't get the love for Paul George. I mean, would I love him on my team? Sure. I could run 6 small forwards now in Phoenix, but
that's the point now. That's the league. It's you're on a ball handler, you run the wings, and then you have Ayton.
But I don't want a player now. I don't get the allure of him that's he's a top 5 defensive player but takes off half of his defensive
He's a top
possessions.
5 defensive player with Andre Robertson, who's a better defender next to him.
Right. That was my favorite thing at the beginning of the year.
All of a sudden, their defense just went to shreds.
After Robertson
went away, and then Paul George's
oh yeah, Robertson's twice the defender, Paul George.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get really, really overpaid.
So,
and it doesn't mean he's bad, but he's going to get significantly overpaid.
So he opted out this morning of his contract
Yeah, that was
5
expected.
hours ago. So he opted out at 7 a.m. Eastern time.
Which doesn't mean anything in terms of his decision.
No, but it's just like saying. But apparently now he's like, I left things undone with the Thunder.
Yeah, that was the most obnoxious quote
I'm
ever.
like, I just feel like he's pulling this. Ooh, what am I gonna do?
It's
like
for the ESPN decision take.
It is, and I still think he's going to the Lakers. I just don't.
I want it to go to rest, and I just want one of them to go to LA, just so it's over.
I want none of them to go to LA.
Well, because I think if Paul George went to LA, I think he'd actually be terrible because he wouldn't be playing. I don't think he'd be playing with any other All-Star, and it would just be the Paul George show against
I think if
the
one,
West.
I think
Paul
if
George
one of
on
them
his team
goes,
alone, he's screwed.
If one of them goes, LeBron's going.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think.
Well, let's finish with Paul George.
Okay, so his 3 destinations are where? LA, Philly, and OKC.
With Philly being the least chance.
Philly's like a 5%.
That's so, dude. The math that I brought to the table today, I have him at 5%, but I'm gonna wait to break out this math until a little later. But That's weird you said that. I have it in writing. We agree.
I think he's gonna
Lucas
get
probably had him at 6%, like a fool.
Like a Neanderthal.
Like a Neanderthal.
So I think he's going to get paid a lot,
that's good.
and the most he could get paid is $35 a year, which is really insanity if you think about it. Anything from 27 or over, I think is an overpay for Paul George.
Well, the thing is, looking at his contract that he could sign with the Thunder, it's that 5-year,
178,
so that last year he'd be making
39.
$39 million. And so any other team he goes to, if he signs a 4-year max, he's leaving almost $50 million on the table.
Right.
So it really depends if Paul George cares just about the money, because that team is not winning a championship next year.
No.
Especially with Carmelo making $28 million.
And if they sign him long term, I mean, you're really talking your nucleus, and it's not going to change, is Westbrook, Paul George, and Steven Adams.
Yeah, that's
And you've got so much money tied up in those 3 players.
Steven's making 25. Westbrook would be making 40. Paul George would be making 35.
And that's a good big 3, but that is not a great big 3.
it's not a
That's over 80% of your cap right there.
It's not a championship big 3. I think if the Thunder organization decided, all right, we're not going to ever be a Western Conference Finals team, but we'll be a team that might piss off a few second-round teams.
Or knock a contender off just randomly.
Right.
Just
I think that might be their peak with those 3. Their biggest thing that's going to bite them in the ass is paying Steven Adams that much money. And because
See, I don't hate that, to be honest.
I don't hate Steven Adams on the team at all.
It's an overpay.
It's just if Steven Adams was making 17 instead of 25, it'd be a perfect contract.
Sure.
25 was just the max, and I really don't understand. It's what Capela is going to make this year. He's going to make 25 from Houston probably. And 2 years from now, it's going to be my God, the core of CP3, Capela, and Harden is just not doing it. Why did they pay Capela that much money?
I think 2 years from now, CP3 is not on that team. I think unless they win a championship next year, I could see CP3 just dipping again.
But you know what I'm saying, though? If they lock that in, Capela's contract in 2 to 3 years is going to look like, we shouldn't have paid him this much money because now we're screwed.
So one other potential thing that could happen with PG-13 is OKC could sign him for a 1-and-1.
Yep.
And that's what he might want that just so he can next year get a 5-year.
Yeah, next year is going to be weird for him because this coming year is his 9th year in the league.
That's
and then
really?
So if he waits one more,
dude, his body is older than that, man.
Well, I mean, you break that leg so hard.
So the thing is, if he does the 1-and-1 and then next year opts out and goes to LA, then he's eligible for that 10-year plus supermax thing that CP3 and LeBron have, so that he can always just keep going 1-and-1s. But I actually don't think he has the leverage to do a 1-and-1 past this year. I think with OKC, you'd be all right, I want to run it back one more year in OKC. He's fine, perfect. But I don't think if you went to Magic Johnson and said, I'm going to do a 1-and-1 for the rest of my career with you guys, he's not no other team in the league's accepting that.
Right.
Because he's not worth that much money.
No, he's not. He didn't even average 22 points a game.
Talk about Bron.
Yeah, we can probably talk about Braun for a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, no one's talking about him, so I feel like we should be the pod that really talks about LeBron. So are we going to do it?
I just don't know what this man's going to do. I think he is really hell-bent on Paul George or Kawhi Leonard being in a Laker uniform before he signs.
Oh, he's trying to bring a dude for sure.
Or Kevin Durant, you know?
Well, then think about those, the Kevin Durant rumor, Paul George rumor, Kawhi rumor. Like, all these rumors are just saying, to me, is saying LeBron isn't leaving unless somebody else goes first. And like, somebody has to come in.
I agree. I think that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, he's not going to sign there and be like, all right, where's everybody else?
Honestly, I think if Kawhi went, I think the Lakers team looks iffy because they have to give up a lot. If Paul George went, they don't have to give up anything.
Right.
And then LeBron goes, they have to make like a money decision on how to get Dang off. So they have to get Dang off.
We just trade a pick pretty much, which is...
Trade a pick. They're going to have to trade Lonzo because then all the leverage is in the teams that they're going to talk to. They're going to go to the Hawks and be like, we need to dump Dang. We'll give you a pick. And they're like,
what if we go, we'll give you Dang, we'll give you the 2021.
I mean, that's when people are valuing that 20, where they're valuing that. I mean, the rule hasn't even been set.
But that's why you go like, we'll give you the 2021. And they go,
right.
Absolutely.
It could be 2022 or 23.
Yeah.
So we'll just say like, hey, we're going to give you this pick right here. And then they go.
That'd be a fun protection on a pick.
That would be really interesting.
It's like, okay, we want your pick, one pick from 2021 to 2023, but we get to pick each year if we want it or not.
Yeah,
so a swap, like.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like a swap, but without giving up your pick.
But
I'm saying, of course, it's not a rule now, but right. It'd be cool. Like, all right, we want a high schooler. It's going to happen from 2021 to 2023. We want that guy.
Yeah, whenever second draft is, that's when we get your pick.
Yeah. See, that would be such a fun rule.
And also, if they trade Lonzo now, they are definitely trading him at hopefully in your shoes, at his lowest possible trade value. Because no one's high on Lonzo right now. No one.
I don't think anyone's incredibly high because I think everyone still has a bad taste of LeVar whenever they think.
Yeah, I think
Lonzo.
that LeVar's.
I think we're carrying that too far. I think that Lonzo's play, as well as his rap diss tracks, and just him kind of being a douche, I think that's what people aren't high on.
I think he's starting to get a little bit of an ego. I mean, his passing and his defense is good. His shot is just. Honestly, I'm trying to find some trash or something in the room just to compare it to. But it's just...
It's like old bubble wrap.
It's like old bubble wrap, just deflated and just doesn't look good at all. It's just sad.
You can't even jump on it.
Yeah, you can't even pop it for fun, but I think it would just be really sad if we keep trading these young point guards that we get just to dump these bad contracts out of stupid Bus and Mitch. got.
It will. That's when Magic said, if he doesn't get a good free agent by next offseason, then he said he'll resign. And the reason he said that is because whoever, pays his checks is pissed because they traded D'Angelo to get off Mozgov's money. But by next offseason, Mozgov's money is already off.
Right.
So, there was no point of trading Lonzo by the end of next offseason.
Yeah, there's no point to trade D'Angelo.
This is
other than the fact that Magic just didn't like D'Angelo, and he's like, look at what the Nets have gotten for Brook Lopez. They got D'Angelo, and they got Dwight Howard, so then they freed up all that cap by buying out Dwight Howard.
The Nets are making smart decisions.
Really smart decisions.
Whoever the GM is for the Nets is my superhero. He just keeps doing these really smart money moves.
He trades Trevor Booker to the Sixers for
a flyer on Okafor.
And he's like, oh, okay, Okafor didn't pay off, but then the Sixers wow, Trevor Booker's not good. And
no.
They dropped him, and then the Nets are making some really good moves. I think in a couple of years they're going to be fun.
Yeah,
as long as they keep that GM,
they're setting themselves up well. We were just talking. Chicago is setting themselves.
Chicago's
up well.
We're not paying any money.
Yep.
Yeah, no, there's a couple teams that are going to be really interesting to watch in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Bron. You have possible destinations. I mean, the world has for possible destinations:
right.
Cleveland, L.A., Philly. Where do you have them percentage wise in Philly? Let's see if we stay
2%.
Wow. Okay, that was significantly lower than me. I have him 25% Philly.
I just don't.
LeBron going to Philly 25%?
25. Just because what we were saying with LA.
Because he would love LeBron.
No, I mean, yes, of course. But if no one signs with LA soon, I just don't see him going there. And then I always come back to, does he really want to take checks from that man? Does he?
I think that's a thing that I don't really think about ever, is he hates his boss.
He hates his boss so much. Oh, my God.
But if he went to Philly, he'd be in the finals for the next 4 years.
So that's why I give it 25%. I don't expect it, but
So,
all right.
Boston team's
Yeah,
gonna be
if I had to
What
pick,
do you guys think? Give me some percentages. Really, are you going to stick with 2%? Because I feel like this just.
I don't
that's
think
just
he's.
spiteful.
I don't think he's going to Philly. I just don't think he. I think the Sixers would rather have Kawhi, or they'd rather just get Paul George. I don't think like LeBron is realistically going there, because I think this.
Okay.
So say LeBron signs a 1 year again, 1-1 with Cleveland, opts out next year,
Which could totally happen.
Well, he's going to keep signing 1-1s. I just feel like Philly's in such a good spot that they could get a bunch of role players, and then they get that one creator, or they get Kawhi Leonard, and that's the last piece.
yeah.
They just need that guy. I just think LeBron's almost at that point. Like, he's got to be almost at that point, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
We were saying that with Tim Duncan forever.
Yeah, but Tim Duncan was playing like 25 minutes.
We were saying that about LeBron like 3 years ago, too.
Yeah,
But in fairness, I mean, whatever workout regimen, whatever he's
spending
doing,
$1.5 million on your body. I just think it makes more sense for LeBron to
Are
end up in
you
LA.
asserting he's bionic?
Yes.
I can see that.
So you have him in LA.
I pretty much have like
True homer.
probably 51% in LA.
I have
51% LA.
wow.
47%.
7% Cleveland.
I have like 75% Cleveland. I just think he's staying because I don't think the dominoes will drop for him in LA, and I don't think he wants to move to Philly. I don't know why, but I think
That's why I have him at 2%.
I think he's just going to stay home. I think he's going to ride this out, and I think he's probably just going to ride off into the distance, and he's going to retire one day, probably never winning another ring. But
Wow, yeah.
I think he's staying home. So where do you think he's going?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, like I said, 25% Philly. I'd split the other with LA.
It really depends if LA can get a player.
Right, if they can get Paul
Like
George.
if Paul George on July 1st goes, I'm saying OKC, and then the Spurs are like, nope, we're going to trade.
And I think George stays in OKC. I really do. I think he wants that money.
Makes me sad.
Ultimately, at the end of the day. All right, so the little bit of math I brought to the table today, all based on my silly percentages. But I used the same thought process when we were going through the BPI odds of making the finals.
Okay.
For why I disagreed adamantly. I was definitely proven right. I was completely proven right. So
You mean the Raptors didn't have a 25% chance to win the finals?
hell no.
And they got
was the
swept in the
worst.
second round?
Yeah, the math didn't make sense at all. So I looked at this from a homer perspective. So this all relates to the Sixers. Like, can the Sixers sign, or will they sign any of the marquee three? So George, Kawhi, LeBron. Kawhi obviously is not a free agent, but probably moving.
Right.
He's a pre-agent.
A pre-agent, exactly. So I gave, and you came up with that, right?
Yeah,
Just
totally.
kidding.
I didn't steal it from Bill Simmons.
So I gave Bron 25% chance Philly. I gave Kawhi 25% chance Philly. And I gave George only 5% Philly.
Okay.
When you add all that up, it winds up only being an 18% chance that we're going to land anyone. When you aggregate those numbers, or whatever you would say. I'm not a mathematician. I had to call in for some help, obviously. But yeah, 18% chance. That's not awesome.
I think it's just a weird point for Philadelphia. It's like Embiid's first full season. It's Simmons' first full season. And I think everyone's already championship or bust right now. These guys are so young.
Well, because they overachieved last year.
They overachieved, and I think, they had that little period of slumping, and at the end they just took a dump on a bunch of really bad
teams. Yeah.
Like they went on that 16-win streak, and all of us, I know I've been into the hype. I bet like $200 that they'd be in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And then I realized
which in part was a reflection on how bad the East was. To be honest,
it was terrible. And I was like, LeBron almost lost in the first round, and he could have lost in the first round of the Pacers. And if that happened,
should have, because that was a goaltend.
Yeah, it was. But then it was also the Celtics. I was like, okay, they almost lost to the Bucks.
Right.
The two teams went to 7 games, ended up going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So as a Philly fan, though, would you rather have this offseason getting like Paul George, or would you rather get like 3 role players with a ton of your money that you have, but do like JJ Reddick contracts? So get like Derek Favors for 1 year 18, JJ Reddick again like 1 year 18, and then do another guy 1 year like 12. Would you rather like try to fill out the roster with like above average role players, or would you rather lock in like a Paul George? Because next offseason's a big one. The 2019 offseason's huge. So I don't know why, if you build up your status to like, okay, we made it to the second round, we can do it again.
Yep.
And but now we just need like one big guy to come in. Like
I'd rather that than PG-13. Give me Bron or
100%.
Kawhi over kind of rounding out the roster as you described, but over Paul George, I mean,
I'm not very high on Paul George to be paying him $30 to $35 million a year. No. I just don't like that at all.
That would hurt my soul.
I think
he's the 3rd best player on the championship team.
A fun player for the Sixers would be Klay Thompson next to Ben Simmons.
That'd be sick.
And that might happen next year.
That's what I'm thinking. Like 2019, you go out and like be like, Klay, come over here. You're gonna get the ball a lot. You're gonna get a lot of shots, and hopefully Simmons can figure out some sort of post play or some sort of jumper. But
he's Magic Johnson. He really is. I'm all in that.
Well,
that
he
Ben
can't
Simmons
shoot.
Magic.
He can't shoot, so it's a great great comparison. Should we move on to Boogie?
Let's do the trifecta of big men.
Yeah. Let's bang these ones out, because DeMarcus Cousins is gonna not get paid that much money. There's no if any of these teams is throwing $20 million at him, $25 million, they should just be like kicked out. Well, that Achilles tear, like on a man that big, that Achilles tear is scary.
I don't think he'll get paid, like you said, as much as he hopes to. But what are the teams that could pay him that money? I really think it's Dallas, who's desperate for a big. Jason, who's spilling all over himself.
I'm not spilling ass.
It exploded.
It was a super foamy beer. It's not my fault.
So New Orleans could just run it back, but then I've been reading that New Orleans isn't like 100% committed, which I think is their leverage, being like, we did a lot without you.
Right.
You know?
It's like I've been saying all since he got hurt, and they just went on that run.
But I also don't think Anthony Davis wants to go back to another season thinking, crap, I'm the only superstar again on this team that is kind of taking advantage of me.
No, they got Drew Holiday now. He's balling out.
Drew Holiday is still not like a top 15 guy.
No, it does put a lot more pressure on Anthony Davis for sure. It puts a lot of pressure on him to score 30 plus every night.
And he's not going to be 100% every game. You know, he's not going to put in 100% effort. He might go like, that's why he needs Boogie, because if he goes, you know, I'm not feeling it this game, and he only does like 75% of himself, Boogie comes in, he can just be a monster. But then we don't know if Boogie's going to be a monster.
We don't even know when Boogie's going to play.
So
we don't know if he's going to play next year.
I wrote Washington down, but really Washington would only happen if it was like a sign-in trade for Otto Porter, is how I see it. I don't think the likelihood on that's very high right now.
Yeah, you had New Orleans, Dallas, LA, Washington. I like Washington the most personally. It's teaming him back up with John Wall. And Washington has to do something. The team is currently constituted. It's not working. That's evident. They're not going to go anywhere. If they were going to, it would have happened. And so kind of why not take a flyer on DeMarcus? Because it's kind of that, or run it back for another year or two and then it blows up. Take a flyer on DeMarcus. If it works, oh my God, maybe you can make the conference finals.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, all right, blow it up.
Right. But I don't think logistically it does. That's the hardest one logistically, because 3 parties have to agree. First, the Wizards have to say, we are willing to give up Otto Porter for DeMarcus Cousins. Then DeMarcus Cousins has to be like, I'd be willing to go to Washington. And then New Orleans has to be like, we'd be willing to take on Otto Porter.
Contract.
Like
his contract.
There's so many moving parts within that one that
Is it a bad contract?
He's making $24 a year for Otto Porter, which
75% of it is paid on the first day of the season.
Yeah.
Is it 75 or 50%?
No, I think it's 75.
I think
And that's
it's a Kobe contract.
So like solid player, but just overpaid.
yeah. If he was making 18 million,
Then you'd love it.
then
Yeah.
I would love it.
But Otto Porter next to like Anthony Davis, like a long wing would just be
It might be
perfect. A lot better than having like Etuan Moore or Solomon Hill.
I still don't know if that's like a Western Conference Finals team, and I think Anthony Davis is going to hit some sort of breaking point where he's like, I'm going to go somewhere, or I'm going to demand a trade because I need to get to the finals. He's a finals caliber player.
Yeah,
of course.
His
Yeah.
whole team is not like the front office has not been gifted him any sort of.
But
chances.
also in the West, there's, especially last year, there's 10 really solid teams, and then there's up top. The Pelicans would have to revamp so hard to get something that's going to contend with the Houston Rockets or the Golden State Warriors. Like in the next 2 years, like that's not realistic to try to compete with those guys unless Kevin Durant leaves and then they leave or Clay leaves. The Warriors have that move, but it's really hard to be a contender. You can't just be like, all right, Pelicans, you need to get something in New Orleans. It's like, who really wants to go play there? Like Anthony Davis is there, but
That's why I have LA there, because especially with all this Magic Johnson drama that he's pushing pressure on himself, you know who's a big name? DeMarcus Cousins. He could get Boogie, and he would have to he would probably pay him $25 million a year for 3 years. I think that would be the thing. 3 years, 75. You get Boogie Cousins, and then Magic goes, we didn't expect a lot this offseason. I did the best I could.
If Magic signs DeMarcus Cousins to a 3-year, $75 million contract, I want his resignation on the table the next morning.
No, I think he'd be satisfied with that, and then next year you guys would do Paul George all over again.
What are the odds DeMarcus Cousins doesn't get a contract next year? This offseason? 0%.
Because Dallas is going to give him money. They need a center.
What if Dallas gets DeAndre?
I think they'd get Boogie before they get DeAndre. I don't think they're going through that.
But if you
minefield of him,
I would rather sign DeMarcus than DeAndre.
Yeah.
Well, so see, you were all in on the Achilles. Like he's not going to be the same player he was, but like
because there was that podcast a long time ago though that I remember when he had the Achilles injury and we brought it up, and there's only been like 2 players to ever come back from an Achilles injury over the course of like a 25-year span.
How many of them were
enormous?
How many of them were 6'11", 270 pounds?
That even lowers the odds, but I don't think that's gonna. I think a lot of teams are desperate.
If
like Dallas,
I'll say
the fact that he can shoot helps. You know what I mean? And the fact that like he was never, I shouldn't say never, but at least in recent memory, it's not like he was like a high flyer, you know what I mean? Like catching lobs, doing alley oops, like.
No, he's probably the best big man in the game, but he also has a bum Achilles now.
So now he's not going to be mobile on defense.
But I mean,
he's
like
jog the whole time, and he might only play.
He jogged a lot to begin with.
He's only going to play like 28 minutes a night, maybe on good nights. But
I don't see any smart team paying him over 16 next year.
Wow.
Like you might give him like a 16, like, hey, we're gonna pay you just to like be on our team. Like this is a goodwill 16.
I think it's gonna be 20 to 25.
I do think you're underestimating his value.
I don't think the Pelicans.
You're gonna pay $20 million for a guy who, like, do we have any confirmation he even plays next year?
I don't know.
Like when did he get hurt?
I mean, my sources were vague on that.
That's what I mean though. Like we're all like, oh, he's good. Like he's not going to be there day one. There's not a chance he's there at the beginning of the season.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about his rehab.
I mean, his personal trainer said he's coming along quite.
All right, let's go to Clint Capela.
All right. I have no relationship with his personal trainer. For the record,
it's basically all the same teams are as possible destinations, except I have Chicago and Brooklyn, which I thought were like long shots just because they have the cap. They also have a need at that position, and Capela's really young. So that would just be another cornerstone they could add.
I think it's a year too early for both of them, though.
Yeah, I think Chicago and Brooklyn have just gotten their heads out of.
No, I agree. I don't like Capela wouldn't make an immediate impact next season if Brooklyn or Chicago signed him, but it would be for the year after. So like Brooklyn is going to have like
someone to come.
Yeah, Brooklyn's going to have like $75 million in cap space in 2019. So they're just going to sign literally everybody in the world they can, but they wouldn't have to think about a center. That would be the thinking point. Like, all right, we already have a 24-year-old center, but I'm going to tie in DeAndre and Clint Capela because I really think this scenario could work for the best. DeAndre Jordan is probably right now like 80 to 85% of what Capela can do, right? So if Capela is dropping 15-12 with 3 blocks, DeAndre is doing like 12-12 with 2.5 blocks or something like that. I think Houston doesn't want to pay some sort of super tax. DeAndre wanted to move to Houston with CP3. So if they just agree to some weird, bizarre trade where Clint Capela goes to Dallas and DeAndre Jordan goes to Houston, I think Houston would be down for that because you'd save a ton in luxury tax. You wouldn't have to pay Clint Capela for maybe a super overpay, and you get a vast majority of his production.
Wait, if Clint Capela goes so you're saying a 3-team trade?
Yeah, so it would be like, well, I guess it wouldn't even be a trade. It would just be free agency. But just DeAndre just goes in free agency to Houston for like $12 million a year for like 3 years because he's 31 now. Clint Capela gets paid $20+ million in Dallas. I don't know. Clippers get nothing because it's free agency and he walks. But,
okay, now I'm clear.
But I think Houston would be completely happy with that. And I think Dallas would be completely happy with that. I think the Clippers are just expecting him to walk, and that's why they did the Gortat trade. So they have a serviceable big man, and they broke up the dynamic duo of Austin Rivers and his daddy. But
his daddy.
That's so offensive when you say it like that. So DeAndre Jordan, I mean, his window is pretty much the same as CP3 at this point. I would say, even though he's younger, he's aging pretty much at the same rate. So teaming him up with CP3 kind of for this, what is it? Really, realistically, like a 2-year run.
It really is a 2-year. The window's very small for Houston right now.
Yeah. So I like it. I mean, I think that makes sense. He's not at all what he was.
No.
Because his best asset was his athleticism and his hops combined with his size.
Right.
And that's diminished.
He did average 16 boards last season. Oh, he averaged 15.2.
Also,
you don't round up.
It was generous.
Jordan has only played less than 70 games, technically twice in his career, and once was the lockout shortened when he played every game. He's always played 77 or more, pretty much.
He's a workhorse.
He's a workhorse, and it's like a consistency that he's gonna be there for you, which is nice. Like, he may not have like the same hops, but he's still like very athletic.
Would you rather have Capela at 2 years 50 or DeAndre Jordan at 2 years 24?
If you're Houston?
Yeah.
Capela.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Capela adds $26 million more in value?
I would rather have the younger, more talented player.
I think I'd go with
DeAndre. He's already in the system. He's already he's got that chemistry.
I think you'd go. I would go with DeAndre because then you could sign back the rest of your old players. Because I feel like if you go Capela, you're paying way too much because then you'd have to sign the role players first and then him after.
I might go Capela, but the only reason why I would go in that direction would be playoff games, fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Can you play DeAndre Jordan?
I don't know.
Because teams are going to hack him.
That's been the question for his entire career.
Right, but a team with, true championship aspirations, that's scary.
Capela did so good in this playoffs, and
is he a good free throw shooter though? I honestly don't know Capela.
But I don't think he's
he's not DeAndre
bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It looks like Nick's looking it up, or he's sexting, one or the other.
So I really think Capela's leaving Houston.
You're impressive, man.
I try.
These kids these days, I can't do both.
It's because you're old.
I know, Jesus. Ask my ankle. All right. While he's looking that up, let's move on to quickly.
He's 56% last season.
Okay, so he's pretty bad too.
Yeah, it's not great.
Hey, that's 1 out of 2. That's all you need.
No, you need much better percentages than that.
Well, you tell that to George Hill.
Oh.
I think
a lot of people probably have. So 2014 draft class extensions are coming up this summer. July 1st begins free agency. Guys, who would you most like to sign? Not necessarily like for our respective rooting interests. I just mean in the sense of which is the most valuable player from this 2014 class. So real quickly, just to blow through them, Aaron Gordon, Jabari Parker, Julius Randle, Marcus Smart, Yusuf Nurkic, I think I said that right, and Zach LaVine.
Good enough.
I think the best player on this board is Julius Randle.
Yeah.
And I think...
Shit, I didn't imagine all of us were going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that too, for the record.
Julius turned it around last offseason when he went 3 weeks and just went from kind of a chubby kid to just this completely ripped man with Oladipo. Whatever that trainer is, I need to get in contact with him. And he needs to get my crap together.
He bought a Bowflex. That's all it took.
P90X.
We're still waiting for the check, Bowflex. Still waiting. He said it was in the mail.
So where do you see Julius Randle going?
Dallas.
Dallas? You think Dallas is going to pay for him?
I think if Dallas misses out on Clint, DeAndre just picks up his player option. I think they'll just be like, all right, let's do it. Let's go out and pay Julius Randle.
I would love to see Randle with Doncic.
With Harrison Barnes, that could be a fun little squad.
Yeah, but you know what would be even more of a fun little squad is Indiana.
Indiana would be cool.
Would be so much fun because that's perfect grit and grind. For whatever reason, they take mid-range shots.
And the East needs it.
The East needs something.
Bring your talents to the East, Julius.
I think it would be great.
They'd have to renounce, or Thad Young would have to not pick up his player option, right?
I hear that's pretty realistic, though.
They'd have to also
not from my fake sources, but from news.
Al Jefferson, they could he has a $10 million team option. So does Darren Collison. So does that Bogdanovich guy. So they could just drop a bunch of their team options, sign Julius Randle.
What do you think Randle gets paid though? This is the big asterisk on all these players. Aaron Gordon's going to get paid whatever he wants because the Magic are just bad and they just need money. They just need someone.
Every single one of these players are available to get the Steven Adams max contract of $25 a year. So it's 5 years, 125.
I wouldn't pay that.
I wouldn't pay that to any of these players.
Any single one of these players, yeah. No.
See, it's not worth it.
No, because none of them are franchise cornerstones.
Nope.
No.
I think every single one of these guys' peak is the third best player on a championship team. I think so. I don't see Marcus Smart might be the fifth,
Marcus Smart is just that really good role player. I think he's going to get somewhere between 8 and 10. I think that's a solid point.
I think he's going to make 14. I don't know where, though.
I don't think anyone's got the money to give him 14.
So you didn't have it on this list in terms of possible destinations, but I'm hearing Washington for Smart.
Well, they just traded for Rivers.
My only thought about that is they still they got rid of Gortat,
but that makes it less likely.
It makes it less likely. If they didn't have, if they still had Gortat,
and they wanted to get off Gortat's money to get Smart, but they just swapped contracts for Rivers and Gortat, so they don't have any money. Is the problem?
They got rid of Gortat for Wall,
right?
Yeah,
because he was.
They're doubling down on John Wall, which I just don't know if it's smart.
Well, you're never going to get off John Wall's contract.
No,
there's not a chance that you're going to convince someone to pay him $40 million.
It's a bad contract.
So who's the second best player on this list?
Right, since we all have Randle.
I'm not going to say the second best, but the most intriguing player for me is Jabari Parker.
I love Jabari, but he hasn't really proven that he's a great starter.
He doesn't have that drive, but your number one, I don't know if these are number one destinations. Is it that on the far left? The number one destination? Your first one?
That was my just opinion.
I think Utah would be really cool. He's a Mormon. He's going home.
He's
going home to Utah. But he adds that if they don't get Derek Favors and say they just send Woj tweeted. I'm getting these alerts. Potential offer sheet for Indiana Pacers anticipated $20 million plus in salary cap space. League sources tell ESPN Orlando Magic restricted free agent Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon possibly to Indiana?
Indiana for $20 million plus.
Good for you. That was a possible destination on your list, Lucas.
I never lose if I make 5 or 6 possible destinations and they just have the cap. I'll always win.
But yeah, I think Jabari could be like a really fun player. I think he has the ability to be I think it's like kind of similar to Julius. Like if he starts putting in the work and start caring, because in that Milwaukee Celtics series, in the beginning, it's like, where's Jabari? Jabari needs to play. And then near the end, he was showing up and put up like 12 points in a quarter. He was showing flashes of like what he could be. He was trying to defend. I just don't think he has the drive or the care to be like a great basketball player.
I think he hasn't been in a situation that's positive at all for his growth, because Jason Kidd hated him.
Yeah, Jason Kidd hated him, and I think just the entire Milwaukee saga ruined him. He's not going back to Milwaukee.
No, there's no chance. He's a foregone conclusion that he's not staying there. I think Utah would be perfect because they have the cap space. Quinn Snyder's awesome. That whole team is a great culture.
I think Utah, and also if Indiana like misses on Aaron Gordon or Julius Randle, I think that they're like third options.
The stretch four position with Randall or Parker or Aaron Gordon, they just want to fill that role because I think Thad Young's gone. I think
Thad wants to compete.
There is a guy on this list that just had a rumor that Zach LaVine is willing to re-sign for $15 million a year. So it'd be 5 years. I don't know what the number is, like 5 years, 70 or something like that. But that would be interesting, and I feel like that'd be super cheap.
And I think it was the Low podcast they were talking about him. Is he really adding a lot more, or is this all inflated stats? Is he like adding a level of competitiveness? Like, are you going to be wanting to pay him in 4 years $15 million, or is he just still going to be like that guy? I was like, well, we paid him because he was giving us 17 when we were garbage. I
think that goes back to what we were talking about with Capela and like Adams and them. If it was more, if it was $10 million a year more, or like if it was $20 million a year more, but like $14 million is a tradable asset. Or if he goes wrong bad and you're going to make like a salary dump move, you want those contracts from like 10 to 15. Mm-hmm. So I don't think 15 or even like 16 would be that bad for Zach LaVine because he's super young.
And he could develop.
I think he has the potential to be like a top 10 shooting guard. Like I think his peak would be like the 7 to 10 range.
Yeah, he's not.
I don't think he's able to be like a top 3 shooting guard because that position is now like, if they're the top 3 shooting guards are like really good. Like, and then it drops off a little bit and then it drops off a lot. So
yeah, I'm not that high on him, to be honest. I don't know.
He was injured a vast majority of the last season, and then when he did play, it really was underwhelming.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Which, I mean, like, he came off that injury that he had, and he got traded.
I like Marcus Smart behind Randall on this list, and I just think it's because he's a winner. And you can say that he's a winner because he's been in Boston.
Yeah.
I want him to. But I think Boston has, to a degree, been a winner because of Marcus Smart.
He adds that like level of grit and grind, and he's kind of your hype man. And if you mess up, he's gonna let you know that you screwed up, and that he's gonna get up on your face.
Is it bad that I want all these players to go to Indiana? Like, I would love for Marcus Smart and Julius Randle to get on Indiana with like Oladipo and Miles Turner and that whole squad of like players that don't really make sense, but somehow made the 4th seed, or did they make the 3rd seed? Right?
No, Philly was 3rd.
They were the 4th seed.
They're the 4th seed.
Cleveland was the
5th seed.
Yeah. There's nuts. Like, nothing makes sense there. So why not add 2 more players?
See a couple, or realistically not a couple, but I'd love to see one of these guys fall there. I'd also love to see one of them fall to Utah. Because they're just exciting teams right now. In their small market.
They're not like these juggernauts, but they're still really fun to watch play.
And they're never going to get the like mega star. So these are all perfect like caliber players for these small market teams.
They're like team peak would be kind of like what they did last year against LeBron. Like they brought LeBron to game 7, but if they could do that in the second round, That would be a great story for Indiana Pacer fans. They'd be like, "Oh my god,
They
remember that time we brought LeBron to 7?
They
and
could have
like,
beat LeBron.
and like
so
Marcus
many
Smart
games.
also punched him right in the dick or something. You know, like that'd be a great story to tell your kids
with
one
his
day.
head because that's how tall he is.
Yes.
I think Smart to Phoenix would be fun.
I'm really nervous about that, though. I think he's
even
a
if you-
strong candidate to
Even
go to
if you give
Phoenix.
him like a 2-year, like 12 to 13 a year,
I just
which I
don't.
think is a slight overpay.
The problem is
but-
we need like a distributor and like a true ball handler, and Smart would really compensate like the.
You need someone to
playing
defend on
defense.
that team.
We have Josh Jackson. And now-
Josh Jackson's going to guard all 5 other players.
and then we have Bridges who might be able to guard NBA players. We don't know yet, but
yeah. And then you have Booker who's not going to guard anybody.
no.
Would you want Kevin Love? Just departing from everything we were talking about.
Oh, yeah,
but I'm done with these guys. Would you want Kevin Love?
I don't know.
No.
Torn on it.
Not with this squad.
It would depend. Yeah, a few things would need to change. We'd have to be
The lack of defense made me think of it.
we would need
Yeah.
a better bench. Like if we had like 2 extra players, so if we were going to shrink the bench to like an 8-man rotation, right now we don't have an 8-man rotation. It's really bad. So, but if Love was put in and we were dead set on making the playoffs, I really think Love would be a perfect player because he would also be a second option, or maybe he'd be the third option. I don't know how good Ayton's going to be, but I would love Ayton and Love. I think it would be fun. I also don't want to pay him how much he's getting paid right now, but if Love was getting paid like $5 million a year less, I'd be down for that.
I think
it'd
it could
fun.
be an exciting addition.
I think so too.
I mean, at the end of the day, Phoenix is going to have to outscore people to win.
Yeah, I think
At least like for the foreseeable next year.
Yeah,
or
they're
two.
way too young to play defense. I really think defense comes with age, and
So you put Kevin Love there. I just think it could be really exciting.
they're going to score like 120 points a game but give up 130. It's going to be
Yeah.
ridiculous. But I'd be down for that, for
It's
sure.
good television.
It is good television.
Nick, you want to tell the people where to find us?
Hit us up on Twitter, @SipandSwish, Facebook, Sip and Swish NBA. We're coming at you live. It's going to be a good free agency. What's it start? On Sunday?
I believe Sunday.
We might have to have like a podcast early.
Emergency pod.
Emergency pod early next week after like, we might have to show up here at like 1 a.m. when all these contracts get signed at like, all of a sudden Paul George is in Oklahoma City Thunder and Nick's crying in the corner, like kind of thing.
All right, well, just like turn off your headlights when you're driving down the driveway. Because if you wake my daughters up, I'm going to be pissed.
We're just like rolling it. We turn the cars off. We're like coasting. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. It's going to be a great couple weeks coming up with some free agency, whether the Thunder pay $250 million this offseason, the Sixers maybe get Kawhi, Lucas gets some defenders or a point guard, and
Just need a
Or
point
some
guard.
love.
or I'm trading Lonzo
Some
Ball,
love.
Ingram, and I have a super team. Again, it's only been like 6 years. Gotta bring it back.
Run
Thank
it
you so
back.
much. Have a great day.